Don't predict outcomes. Engineer convexity. It's easy to think that the only way to succeed in markets is to have better information or be better at predicting the future than the market. Counterintuitively, this is often an extremely difficult and unprofitable endeavor. Here, I'm presenting an alternative approach. Engineering strategies with a favorable, convex risk versus reward profile. I built a trading strategy with a simple set of rules that imposes a fixed downside and occasionally exposes the strategy to asymmetric upside. Currently, the strategy has proven to be profitable at a very small scale. My next step is not to make it better at predicting the market outcome. It is instead to engineer convexity by tinkering with it. I built a system that runs continuous experiments on my live trading strategy by implementing variations and testing them versus a baseline. The system presents me with a report of performance every morning and recommends if the experimental variations were successful. In this video, I will discuss the conceptual reasons why I'm taking this approach. I will go through the design of the framework that I built to implement it, and at the end of the video, I will show how it works live and where it goes from here, so stay tuned. My inspiration for an approach to this framework can be concisely summarized by an appropriately titled article called "Understanding is a Poor Substitute for Convexity" by Nassim Taleb, a philosopher, writer, and former options trader who is known for his work on randomness, probability, and risk. This chart from the article is a generalized visualization of the concept of convexity. We have bounded downside and an outward curving, unbounded convex upside. Note that this resembles the payoff structure of a financial option. Under such a payout structure, Taleb says, "You are harmed much less by an error or variation than you can benefit from it." He makes the case that such payout structures actually benefit from uncertainty and disorder. Taleb uses options theory to frame his ideas, but he zooms out to the concepts of research and innovation in general. However, in my case, I'm directly applying his logic to developing trading systems. In the article, he presents the following 7 rules of convexity, each linked to an idea in options theory. His first rule captures the whole idea. Convexity is better than knowledge. I don't predict, instead build cheap tests where losses cost less than wins pay. The second rule is that many small bets, many small variations are superior to one single variation with convex strategies. A large exposure to a single trial has lower expected return than a portfolio of small trials. The third rule is serial optionality. Plans need to stay flexible with a frequent way out, and counterintuitively, a plan should be very short term to properly capture the long term. Taleb illustrates this concept with the example that 5 sequential 1-year options are vastly more valuable than a single 5-year option. For trading strategy development, this translates to short, cheap test cycles with the ability to stop or continue at any point. The fourth rule is non-narrative research. Don't fall for a story about why an adjustment should work. Let the results speak for themselves. The fifth rule is that theory is born from convex practice more often than the reverse. Results come from running experiments, not from theorizing. The sixth rule is a premium for simplicity. The less is more property. This means to favor simple parameter-only candidates first because they're cheaper to test and less room for false narratives. And the seventh rule is cataloging negative results, reducing the space of what we do by knowledge of what does not work. A failed test still maps what does not work. This is directly enabled because testing is cheap and we can view it as tuition. These 7 rules provide guidelines for approaching research and innovation, and in my specific case, approaching how I iteratively enhance my trading strategies. The idea of convexity is analogous to the famous Druckenmiller quote that I mentioned in my macro model portfolio prototype video. What's important is how much you make when you're right versus how much you lose when you're wrong. Taleb's rules of convexity add structure and detail to that concept. I applied them by building a framework to tinker with my strategy systematically instead of trying to predict outcomes. So now that I've explained the conceptual underpinnings, what does my framework look like? The overall idea is to test many small variations versus a live baseline, judge each rigorously, promote those that are reliably better than the baseline, and repeat. I set up a simple overnight agentic workflow that consists of a script and an agent. The script is deterministic. It computes performance for the variation and the baseline. The agent reviews the output from the script and writes me a report every morning. I'm calling this process my overnight strategy lead. I built this framework and set it up to run daily overnight on my mutually exclusive no basket market making strategy, which I've been testing at very small scale for about 3 weeks now. And you can see more details about the strategy itself in my previous videos. I set up the report to show me headline information about the status of the variation in the strategy that I'm testing, as well as realized P&L, both daily and cumulative, for the full test. I have a more detailed section about current and upcoming variation candidates and where they are in the testing process. I have a summary of all the parameter settings for the strategy, and I have a list of issues that need my attention. This process runs daily overnight and reviews the prior day's performance, both baseline and the variation experiment that I'm testing, and systematically promotes successful variations. Right now, I have a queue of several variations that I want to test that I think will improve the strategy. I addressed these in my prior videos. My goal for the coming days and weeks is to test these variations, refine not only the strategy itself, but also the tinkering framework, and then apply the tinkering framework to future strategy development. This brings me to where the project goes next. This framework is not strategy specific. I'm currently applying it to this strategy that I'm running live at very small scale with the goal of improving the strategy and hardening the framework. But in the future, I envision the framework applying to a variety of trading strategies of various types and frequencies. As I run this and get more comfortable with it, I plan to increase the level of autonomy. So for example, moving from manual implementation of experimental variations and manual fixes of any issues that may arise, to shifting some of that responsibility to the agent itself, to the point that it becomes a truly autonomous strategy lead that I program and deploy, then monitor and only intervene when necessary. Stay tuned for future videos to see how this evolves. Let me know what you think in the comments. I would love to hear your feedback. Please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.